Hello, it's story time. I'm doing something a little different. Instead of putting it on my series, I'm doing this for Halloween. So, welcome to my channel. I'm Nicole, or Twitch. As you can see some of the smoke that's still coming out of the fogger. Said it was indoors only, and as soon as I turned that sucker on, my house was full, and the smoke detector went off. So, there went that idea of a spooky scene, and I'm having to show a little bit more than I wanted to be able to get everything in, like the witch. I can't even see if you can see her face, but anyway, so okay, I'm going to tell some of the stories that have been on my channel and a few more possibly. So alright, let's start back when I was 7. When I was 7, I had this swinging Susy doll. I don't know if y'all remember it, but my parents came in to check on me as I was going to bed and, told me, you need to turn off your swinging Susy. And I'm like, but I don't have anything planned. I'm not playing with her. And they were like, just turn it off. So they come in there, they turn it off. Well, there has to be some kind of music or something. There was nothing playing. They turn her off. She's still swinging away. So they take the batteries out. There's no batteries in it. So that was one of the first scary things that I'd ever been through. And then around the same time period, it was Halloween, and I was walking back home in the dark. And sorry, it's already spooky enough in my house, and then like I couldn't even see, so it was like tripping me out. And there's a mirror, and it's like that stuff is stuck to it. It's just all foggy looking. Anyway, I remember what seemed like a UFO flying that night. It was creepy, and then I don't know why, but the fogger just puffed stuff out every once in a while. And then when I got home, we were watching Are You Afraid of the Dark and stuff like that, and I remember the back door right beside of my bedroom flew open and a bat flew in. Like, what is going on? And then the same time period, my mother was getting these dreams. I don't know if she really wants me telling people this, but she was having these dreams about, like, the devil. Satan, and she was trying, I think she said she was in hospital. I can't remember the whole dream. I mean, it's been so many years ago, literally almost 20 years ago. I'll be 37 in March. So anyway, it was crazy. She was trying, I think she was trying to find me. I can't remember what it was, but anyway, it was like she was getting a message. So she wakes up, she wakes my father up, they come in my room, and I was dead. I was dead. And, like, I don't remember because I was not there, but it was like I was floating over my mother's body, and I remember seeing her carry me. I think it was her carrying me to the car. I mean, I know that had to be extremely scary for her. But anyway, I had an asthma attack in my sleep, and I was gone. And another time, she came to my room. Like, I may not be saying these correctly. I mean, this has been so long ago, and I haven't been telling my stories. I've told Danielle, but I can't remember the exact order, and so the way she told them may not be correct because I may have not told her correctly. But anyway, my parents came to my room one night, and the bed hit the floor. I remember the bed floating, and they kept trying to reassure me that it wasn't, that it was a nearby plant, like a factory, near the house that was just shaking it. But that had never happened before, and it never happened again, just because it wasn't that. My bed was literally floating off the floor. Anyway, all this weird stuff was happening, so my mother put me in with a therapist, and and a psychiatrist, and soon found out that I was not crazy. I was gifted. And by then it was too late, because had my mother went to the doctor and said, "Oh, she doesn't need to be here," then, which I still did. I was going through some other stuff too. My biological father was not in the picture, and right afterward he was, but like I never even met him until I was almost 9. So my father, the one I call my father, he raised me. That's my dad. That is my dad. Even though we don't exactly speak now, he'll always be my daddy, and I'll always love him, and I'll always be his little princess. Yeah, no matter how old I am. So anyway, what was my mother supposed to do? They would have locked us both up, you know? Okay, so I get a little older and I get more gifts. Like, I remember telling my mother I wanted 100 kids, but I would only have one. And I did. He's almost 16. And there is one thing that I said that never did happen, though. But most of the things I said did happen. Like, when I was 4, I told my mother, you're not having a baby boy, you're having a baby girl. And she says, okay, like, I've seen the ultrasound, it's a boy. I'm just going to dismiss that. But it was 1989, and those weren't very clear. It was umbilical cord. Usually, if you think it's a boy and it's not, it's the umbilical cord, But anyway, I kept telling her that, and I want to name her Crystal. Sorry, I'm not going to say her full name. But I wanted to name her, and I was, okay, Sheridan had a name picked out. And she was born the day after my birthday, my 5th birthday, and she was Crystal. I mean, that kind of weird stuff happened, And when I was about 9, I was at a neighbor's house playing Ouija board. I don't know if we were just frightened or whatever, but like after that, I remember the smell of that house. I was smelling, okay, you remember one of those hair scrunchies? They're made out of like velour and cloth and stuff. I had one of those, and one day I was smelling it, and I don't know why it would smell like that coming out of my hair, but it smelled like that house. And I didn't know at the time that I had clairaudience, but I do. And you can find that video on my channel. So when I'm going to backtrack a little bit, it might have been around the same time period. I know that I was 10 when I moved out of there. But my cousin's husband and my mother, there were several of them playing a Ouija board in their home. And the Ouija board they asked the Ouija board like a question to see if it was one of them moving it. So my mother did not know his family. They're from Iowa. But she asked who it was, or he did, and I think he took his hands off, and it said said someone's name that he knew. But anyway, I wasn't supposed to be part of that. I wasn't even supposed to hear it, I don't think. But obviously it was real, and after that, things just kept happening. And I don't know whose Ouija board it was or where it went to. I can't remember all that, but I knew that Ouija boards were real. And I didn't want anything to do with them. And I can't remember who it was, but I do know it was someone I think friend of a family member. They had a Ouija board and they burned it. Let's see. They did something with it. I think they got rid of it. And it came back, like, to the closet. And then they burned it. And if I'm not mistaken, that person killed themselves or died after that. And I'm going to tell you something kind of creepy, but I don't know if I would call it paranormal. When I was a kid, I was at the park, and I seen something shiny on the ground and I picked it up. It was a crushed ring, but the stone had not been damaged at all. And I picked it up. And my mother said, "That's pink eyes." And I was like, "Oh, that's pretty." So my aunties, I guess at that time they were legally married. They'd been together for so long. A friend of his could melt gold, and sorry, I heard it click. They could melt gold, so we used that gold to make a chain. Well, a pendant anyway. I think he gave me the chain, and so I wore that for so many years. And this is a really sad story. There's two deaths connected. Not long after that was made, one morning while going to school, found out there was caution tape everywhere. That means, I know that now, it means there was a death. Usually it's a suicide or a murder. And the worst part about it was at my school, and there was two playgrounds. There was the fifth graders and then the other kids. Well, I was a fifth grader, and it was on my playground. I don't know if the man knew that's where my school was, but he killed himself there. It was just so bizarre. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's how the story went. I'm pretty certain. Unless that wasn't the same person, but I know he killed himself afterward. I just can't remember if that was the guy that killed himself at my school. But if so, that's really bizarre. And anyway, many years later, I won't say who, but a family member, or was it a friend? Okay, so a person I know got on drugs, and my pink eyes was gone. And I found a pawn ticket, and it was too late. After my auntie had passed away, right after, I think, yeah, it was right after she passed away that happened, and it's gone. Like, there's two deaths connected to it, you know. I mean, two people passed away, and I don't know, it really bothers me. Okay, so I've told you a lot of stories that are not in my series. Now I'm going to tell you some that are. So I don't want to give all my stories away. I'm not going to have any to tell, right? So I lived in a home. I moved there when I was 16. It was after Mother's Day. Our home was broken into. We moved. We got this big house, and the house was haunted. Let's just say that. There was so much that happened at that house. It was bizarre. But the place we lived at right before that, I had what I call the white lighter that protected me, but was always playing tricks on my mother, though. I don't know if this person was a housekeeper or what, but when my mother would do laundry, it would place the basket where she would trip over, or try to throw her whatnots, you know, I just think of them as items you have to dust, you know? But they're cute little things. Like, I don't know if I really have any, but oh, guys, guess what I forgot to do? I'm so deep into this story time, and I forgot to light the candle. Okay, so anyway, where was I? Oh, the house. So, anyway, it would like move her whatnots or throw them or something. And I remember one night, I had thought I'd been shot. I'm lying in bed, I hear a gunshot, what I thought was, and I'm holding my chest. I'm looking everywhere for blood. Well, I wasn't the only person in my home that was. And come to find out, we all ended up meeting in the middle of the home, and it was a glass that shattered. We would have never known what glass, because you couldn't see nothing. It was just all completely shattered in probably 1,000 pieces. And we have no clue how it happened. I don't know if where it had been drying overnight. No clue. Anyway, that was creepy. So when we moved, my white lighter came with me, and I guess to protect me. And I was going through a lot at that time. That was the first time I went to a mental institution. when I lived there. It was right after my 15th birthday. So let's fast forward. I was 16. I mean, you go through a lot at 16, but it was always something. It was just always something. And my cousin Brittany stayed the night with me one night. And I had this big zebra pillow. It was a big pillow. And it was round and it was like this thick. I remember being suffocated with it. I remember all the night lights. My bedroom was so big that it was probably about the size of it was wider though, of my kitchen and living room combined, and maybe bigger. Like, it was huge. I don't know, it could have been, if you take my home and you cut it in half and then place it beside of each other, so it's gonna be like this. It was probably my bedroom. I don't know, but it was huge. All the night lights were busting. It was a bizarre night. And my father was a preacher, and he said he put out like 78 demons out of the bathroom alone. I mean, I can't give you an exact number, but it was ridiculous. I remember seeing these demons and my white lighter fighting in, in the kitchen. And my white lighter was gone after that. She was gone after that. It sucked. And, like, I still remember things happening after that, though. That'll be a story for a different day. I'm not going to give you all the stuff. And then when I lived on Forest Avenue, a lot of stuff happened there, you guys. It's like so freaking much. It's crazy. Like, I haven't given you all the stories, but I think I told you about the first night I moved there. I was cleaning the bathroom. I hardly had any furniture, hardly had anything. It took me so much money to move into this place. And I was cleaning the bathroom. My son was on the sofa, like the only thing we really had. And I had him placed where he was sleeping. I had him placed where I could see him while I was cleaning the bathroom. He was 2. And I could see him. And then I heard clunk. And I'm like, what the? I stand up, and my son is across the room looking at me like, Mom, why'd you come in here and throw me and run back in the bathroom? It wasn't me. And I knew he couldn't just fly across the room like that. I'm like, oh boy, we are in for a doozy. And were we ever. Okay, so let's fast forward. So when my husband and I started talking, we were friends first. It was supposed to be business partners. And I said, I'm coming by to bring you some crystals. I went somewhere and bought some. And he was like, okay, while you're here, can you like quickly check something out for me? There's some kind of spirit in my home, and it's upstairs. I'm like, okay. I walk in and I get upstairs, and it was such a sick feeling. I felt sick, physically ill from it. And after I left, I was still sick for some time. It was just horrible, absolutely horrible. Well, our friendship moved on pretty quickly. We ended up married just a few months later. So needless to say, we were living there. And so much happened. I said it was just the new moon and full moon at first, but there it wasn't. It wasn't. There was more that happened there. I would hear all kinds of voices then, like especially on a new moon. I would hear a voice. I would think people were inside there. I kept going upstairs thinking people were in there. You could hear people intimately. That's all I'm going to say. It was bizarre. And this stuff would not stop. And so I will say his mother was upstairs. And I was like, so it's only upstairs? No, after the room, we were We were sleeping in the living room, basically, okay? It was our bedroom. That didn't go on for long. And we realized pretty quickly that it was a certain corner. I realized it. It was a certain corner. It was downstairs and upstairs. The corner was. And when she moved out, and we were there for a little, it was like 5 weeks by ourselves. I figured out if I stuck black tourmaline, a bunch of it, like a box of it, in that corner, it left us alone. Was it still there? Yes, it just left us alone. So that stuff, it was just bizarre, but wake my husband up. Like he would wake up, he would sit up and be screaming, and then he'd look at me and go, "What is that in here?" I'm like, "What? I don't know what you're talking about." I mean, it was terrifying. So we move, and I want to add something. When his mother moved, she left something there. Okay, and she gave it to us, and I didn't want it anywhere. I don't know why. I just didn't. And even though it was pretty, I'm like, we don't need an extra one. Like, I don't know where to put it. So we move here. We've been here a year now. The 6th was a year. So we move here, and we bring that item with us. Well, I suddenly start having these, like, it's like messages that were given to me. But if I didn't write it down when I woke up, I couldn't remember it. And I had to do it really quickly. Something was trying to read my thoughts. And, I mean, it got bad. It got so bad. I was trying to get these messages, and all I knew was about a mirror. It never occurred to me that it was this mirror. There was something attached to it. And it was trying to get me and my husband to hate each other. And it was so bad. And I had panic attacks every night about the same time until it was like, I couldn't sleep at all. It was so bad that I couldn't breathe. I got physically ill. We were barely speaking to each other. It was so bad, you guys, so bad. And I knew if we didn't figure out what exactly was going on and stop it, we were going to get a divorce. Well, we separated for 5 weeks. We sure did. And at the very end of it, I figured it out. Finally, one night, it was like all the messages just like flew in. And I'm like, whoa. I knew what was happening. And I knew that I needed to cover this mirror up on the new moon and dispose of it around midnight. And that's what we did. We tried to take it somewhere where nobody would find it and get it. But I think it ended up getting broke because after that, stuff started happening to us, bad things. But it could have also been Mercury retrograde because, like, when the bad stuff started happening, it was Mercury retrograde. So it wasn't directly afterward. But anyway, so I don't know exactly what the spirit is, but I'm going to figure it out still. So this isn't exactly solved, but mostly. So we'll call this an unsolved, unfinished thing. Okay, so after we get rid of that, things are getting so much better, you guys. And then something new starts. And like tonight, I'm standing out on the porch. I'm getting ready to start this. I'm trying to figure out this fogger. Like, excuse me. It was, the whole porch shook. Someone was walking in here. There's nobody else here. And this kind of stuff goes on. So the last few nights, like earlier, after that, I came inside. I was planning on telling you guys about it. And guess what happens? Looking at the time, we're getting very close to the end because I'm running out of space. So, the door. We got a front door and we've got a screen door. No, nothing is wrong with our screen door. But, I mean, it can be locked and closed, and you can hear someone opening it. Like, and this happens in the middle of the night when I wake up. When I wake up and come through the house, it happens like clockwork. Like, something knows I'm coming through here and wants to scare me. Whatever this is knows that I'm not scared. So, like, I was, and I'm not anymore. But those 5 weeks that I was gone, that thing taunted my husband. And I was coming back and forth from here and the place I was staying at, and he told me about 1 a.m. you need to be asleep and just ignore it. And it was the worst anxiety ever. You could feel it in there. You could sense it. You could feel it. Like it would touch you. Like it was really, really bad. You ignore it, you could go to sleep. But what it was is I wasn't ignoring it at first. I could feel, I would show it basically. It could tell that I could feel it. So it just fed and fed. This thing was feeding off of us, okay? And once we started ignoring this thing, it got so weak that we had to make it weak first before we could get rid of it. So anyway, I know I'm going back and forth because it's two different things, but I'm not for certain that it is. But anyway, so something else is going on. At first, I could hear a little kid running through here. I could hear it talking to its mother. So the mother and the child did pass away, I'm guessing. And then there's something else. And I've ordered a book and I'm waiting for it to find out what this something else is. But, I mean, just little things will happen. I mean, it's nothing like real big, but at the same time, okay, like the other night, my husband and I are in bed, right? He says, babe, so what? He said, did you lock the front door? I'm like, Chris, you know I always lock the door. I always lock the door. You know how I am about a door. You walk out that door, I'm going to lock it on you. I have always been like that. Ever since I was little, I'd make my mother get up and check 3 times. And the one time she didn't check, it was unlocked. I never forget, I had to check myself. Like, I don't know why, but I was very obsessive compulsive at such a young age. And it was really sad. I'm sure it was hard watching me go through it. But anyway, so, sorry, my heat just kicked on. It's cold here. Where I was talking about the stuff going on here. Okay, so he's like, well, someone's in here. I can feel the whole home shaking. They're walking through the home. I'm like, Chris, it's not a person, I'm sure. There's nobody in here. And in just seconds, he was asleep, so he wasn't very concerned about it, and I'm guessing he knew what it was. And, like when the freaking front or the bedroom door flew open, it flew open. I think it was because the dryer was offset, but it was locked. The second time it was locked, and it flew open. Yeah. I mean, okay, like the time, this was a while back, so I'm not really sure about that, but I was in the hallway, and I'm not going to show you, but we use Gain, and we use the big thing again. So one side's got a lid, and the other side's like a little push thing, so you can it squeezes out into the lid. You gotta turn it sideways. I always keep it sideways. I never move the thing. All I do is pull it out a little bit, and I pull that cup off, and I squeeze it in there. You know, I rinse it under the washer, and I put it back on and barely push it. Well, I've never taken the cap off, though. And one day I was doing laundry, this has been months ago, and the freaking cap is in, I think it was in the floor. I'm like, I go to open it up, or I go to put that big lid thing, you know, it's like a measuring cup, back on the bottom part. I'm like, what? The freaking lid was, you've got to screw it. And if you know me, I've got OCD, so I'm constantly making sure things are tightened. So, like, there's no possible way, is what I'm saying. No possible way. How to get unscrewed and end up in the floor? I don't know, but I put it back on and was like, what the crap? Like, things happen when I'm around. Things just happen. So anyway, I think this has went far enough. I hope you enjoyed this, and it was very spooky. Sorry, the fogger's not really going. I'm going to try to let you guys see it for a second. Oh, it's probably not heated now. 1 second. Let's see if it'll work. Okay. 1 second. And now I'm going to turn it off. Because there's going to be so much, you guys, that I'm probably going to have to open the door. So until next time, stay witchy.